If you've had an aquarium for any length of time, it's almost a guarantee that at some point you've had to deal with an algae outbreak. Most fish keepers would tell you that it looks horrible and it's a huge nuisance. But is it a bad thing? Does it hurt your fish or will it kill them? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this video, as well as give you some ideas of what causes it, how to prevent it, and what everyone wants to know, how to get rid of it. We put up a new episode of 10 Things every single Sunday, so if you want to see more content like this, make sure you click that subscribe button, ring the bell, do all of that so you get notified when the next one comes out. I don't want you to miss out on anything. With all of that said, here are the 10 things you should know about aquarium algae. Before we get into the list, I wanted to take a minute to thank every single person watching this video and every person that has subscribed to our YouTube channel. Today is a special day. While I was recording this video, got a knock at the door, and the FedEx man delivered this, our silver play button for achieving 100,000 subscribers. Very special day for us. It was interesting too, because the FedEx guy said, "Hey, would you mind opening that while I watch? Because I've never seen one of those." And I said, "Sure." You know what? I've never seen one either. This is the first time I have laid eyes on a silver play button, and it is a glorious and beautiful thing. Thank all of you for this. It's got to be the biggest moment of our YouTube career so far. You'll hear a whole lot more about this in the live stream. Lisa got all of that I just talked about on video. So be on the lookout for that. Tank Talk Live, Thursday, 9 o'clock. We'll talk about it. Algae happens naturally in an aquarium, but there's certain things that can make it flourish and grow completely out of control. Think of algae like a plant because, well, it's a plant. Things that would typically help a plant grow are going to also help algae grow. Things like excess lighting and fertilizers are going to help algae grow super fast. And when I talk about fertilizers, I'm not just talking about actual fertilizers like Flourish from Seachem or Easy Green from Aquarium Co-op. Things like a buildup of excess food and fish waste are going to provide all of the nutrients necessary for your algae to flourish. So that is another type of fertilizer to go along with the others that we talked about. Also, direct sunlight hitting the tank. If you put your aquarium in front of a window or next to a big sliding glass door, you can expect to be constantly battling algae.
Some people look at algae as a nuisance, and some people look at it as something that gives your aquarium a natural look. But is it bad for your aquarium? And is it dangerous for your fish? The answer for the most part is no. Just think of algae as another plant in your aquarium. Most algae will have the same effects as plants in that it will help to produce oxygen and help to control nitrates just like plants. But it's really only going to do that if it's super out of control, like so bad that you can't even see through the tank. Yes, there are some forms of algae like hair algae that if it gets out of control it can affect the water quality. But for the most part this is not something to worry about, and it's pretty much just cosmetic.
There are tons of different types of algae, but let's quickly go over some of the most common. Blue or green algae is caused by poor water conditions and is actually a bacteria, not even an algae. Brown or diatom algae is usually found in newer aquariums and is typically caused by your water supply. That's what I've heard anyway. Oh, and plecos love it. Hair algae is one of those that can get so out of control it can affect your water quality. It attaches itself to rocks and decorations and will sway in the current. Kind of neat looking, but definitely something you want to get rid of. Beard algae is everyone's biggest nightmare. It's furry looking and it can take over a tank before you know it. I've never had good luck getting rid of it, but there's some remedies out there. Just be careful. Green water algae is just as it sounds. It's a floating algae that'll make your entire tank green if it gets out of control. This type of algae outbreak is usually caused by too much light in your tank or direct sun from a window like we talked about earlier.
There aren't many fish keepers out there that like algae in their tanks. Most of us want to keep our tanks looking pristine, but these people that like it will tell you it not only looks natural, but as stated before, it can have the same impact on your aquarium that plants do. It can help keep nitrates under control and provide oxygen for the tank. One of the things I've always told people is that if you have algae in your tank, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. It's good because it means your tank is well established and it can support all kinds of life. But it's bad if it's out of control because you're most likely not doing your job. I'm not judging you. Life does get in the way. Unless you're one of those people that want it in your tank, then I say, good job.
Algae will get out of control under the right conditions, which is usually warmer water with plenty of sunlight. So if you're someone that keeps tropical fish, you can expect algae to be a part of your life for the entire time that you're in this hobby. Not only do the warmer temperatures and excess light help algae to flourish, but it also helps promote new growth of algae. So kind of creates that snowball effect and gets out of control really fast. Just as with most plants in this hobby, if the algae doesn't have access to all of that light and the temperatures are lower, you should be able to keep it under control and not have it ruin this hobby for you.
Yes, it's true, there are fish out there that like to eat algae, and in fact, it's good for them. Fish like Siamese algae eaters, ottos, mollies, and lots of plecos not only love eating algae, but they thrive on it. There is a misconception out there though that these cleanup fish are all you need to get rid of your algae problem. Well, there are a ton of fish out there that love to eat algae, but consider what started the algae problem to begin with. Don't depend on a fish to do your job for you. Keep a clean tank, keep everything healthy, and if you see a little algae pop up now and then, go ahead and employ one of these algae eaters. Just remember they're not your maid service. Buy them because they're really cool fish.
So throughout this video, we've been talking about algae being something that is usually caused by a problem in your tank. If we're talking about it as a problem and you're new to fish keeping, you might be thinking, if it's such a problem, then why do they sell fish food that's made from algae? Well, it's just like we talked about earlier. Some fish need to consume algae as one of the primary components of their diet. If you keep a really clean tank and it's not naturally producing algae, you gotta have something to feed your algae-eating fish. So you actually throw some algae in there and make sure they get what they need. Algae wafers, pellets, flakes, and even frozen spirulina is available and easy to find if you have fish that need them. Also, if your algae-eating fish do their job and clean up the tank for you and there's no algae left, what are you gonna do? You're gonna need some of these foods to throw in there so they don't starve.
Getting rid of algae can be super easy or it can be almost impossible to get rid of, depending on what kind it is. Since many of the algae types grow due to you, the fish keeper, not doing your job, simply getting back on track with your maintenance can help to stop an algae bloom. Do a thorough cleaning of your substrate, maintain your filters, and do frequent water changes until you get this algae bloom under control. Also, decrease the amount of time you're leaving your lights on. Maybe cut it back to half the amount of time that you have them on during the day. And another thing is, you should go ahead and cut back on the feeding of your fish as well. Here's the biggest thing though. Don't rely on a fish to solve a problem for you. If you have an algae problem, put in the work to get rid of it. Don't depend on the fish to do it for you. Oh yeah, and this really doesn't apply to blackbeard algae. If you have blackbeard algae, you're gonna have to go to the extreme to get rid of that. That's a whole other video. Blackbeard algae is evil.
There are several products readily available on the market to help you combat algae. Products like API's Algae Fix and Algae Clean Out from Fritz. These products are amazing and believe me, they do work, but you do have to be careful. There's the silver play button.
Awesome.
There's your reward paperwork. Oh, that is beautiful.
Whoa. Let me see.
Since 2012, we've been waiting for this.
Awesome.
That is amazing.
That's a beautiful thing.
Say hi to YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
One of the ways these products work is by depleting the tank of oxygen, which can suffocate the plant or algae, but that also means it'll deplete the oxygen that your fish need. Make sure you follow the directions carefully and don't overdo it. Also, I've found these products to be most helpful on things like green water algae. No disrespect to any of these brands, but I haven't found them to be all that effective against some of the more harsh algae like blackbeard or diatom algae. I'm just being honest.
Think about the things that cause algae, and the answer to how to prevent it should be pretty easy to figure out. Keep your water clean and stay on top of your water changes. Keep track of how long you're leaving your tank lights on. Unless you have a bunch of plants in your tank, the lights don't need to be on more than 6 to 8 hours a day or even less. Make sure you're staying on top of your filter maintenance. One of the causes of algae is slower water movement. If your filter is clogged up, the water is going to flow slower, so keep those sponges clean. Also, watch out for direct sunlight from a window. If you have a tank by a window, then you're going to deal with direct sunlight. You might as well plan on battling algae non-stop.
So there you go. Those are the 10 things that we think you should know about aquarium algae. I am so off my game today because literally while I was recording this, the FedEx guy knocked on the door with the silver play button. So I am all out of sorts. I want to thank all of you once again for subscribing. If you're not one of those 100,000, go ahead and click that button. Why not? It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it'll keep you up to date on everything that we're doing. We got a lot of stuff going on. Again, if you want to hear more about the silver play button and maybe get a better look at it, join us this Thursday at 9 p.m. and every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for Tank Talk Live. We live stream, Lisa and I do it together. It's a whole lot of fun. You're not going to want to miss that. And also, you don't want to miss the fish room vlogs that I'm going to be putting out starting this week at the time of uploading this video. So who knows when you're watching this, but be on the lookout for those two. Lots of cool stuff happening. Make sure you click that subscribe button and be one of the next 100,000 people. Anyway, I could go on all day long. I'm gonna stop and go stare at that silver play button for a little bit because I've only been waiting 7 years for it to show up. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I can't wait to regroup and talk to you again next week with 10 more things.